Welcome. This is Sally, the Rainy Day Gypsy, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is another part of the tutorial for Sheila and I's Amour Journal. And as you can see, I have laid out here on the table some of the things that I will be using to create the journal. Sheila and I did put together a kit that is available for purchase, and I'll go through that in a minute. But I wanted to let you know that you do not need a kit in order to create the journal. You can use anything you like. The kit will make it easier, however. So just so you know. So let's just start with the kit. This one happens to be a seafoam green color, which is really pretty. We make them in all different colors, and probably towards the end of this series, we will give you a peek of all the different colors we have created so far. This little pack includes silk velvet, 2 contrasting colors of velvet ribbon, seam binding, and hand-dyed raw silk. And we also included a couple little beaded baubles. Now everything in here is hand dyed by Sheila and me, sorry. So anyway, that's your little kit. That is enough to do the journal with a little bit of whatever left over. Also in the kit comes this little pack. Vintage wallpaper, which we give you enough to cover the inside of the cover. And doesn't that go pretty? We have different vintage wallpapers or antique wallpapers, and we try and include the one with the kit that matches the fabric the best. So that I think is gorgeous. Also in the kit, you receive this little embossed slide that we made for you, some cutouts, some embossed papers, some washi tape stuff, a little fairy card. Some of the kits include birds, some of them include like botanicals, and an authentic antique love letter, dated in the 1915s, I believe. Also a piece from a vintage Braille book and another embossed piece. So that is that part. We also have a 16-page DigiKit, and I will go over that in just a few minutes. Now the other things that I will be using are some little snippets and pieces of fabric. This is just muslin. This is from an old lace curtain, and these are just from my fabric stash. Pieces of old lace, and these are from my stash, so we'll be using some of those. I will be using this napkin to decoupage on. And then I've put together a little bin of baubles and beads and buttons and trims. This one happens to be from Sheila, and you can buy those from her. I'll put her email below. And this little ticking that I'm going to use, and a needle and some thread. Now, as far as buying the kit, I will put Sheila and I's email addresses below in the comments so that you can contact us and you'll talk about the kit. Now I'll also want to show you the papers I'll be using. This is the DigiKit, 16 pages, and I happen to print mine out on tea-dyed paper because I love that look. I want it to look older, so I have printed out all my papers on tea dye, and then there's a page that I printed out on cardstock. And then this page is washi tape, and I printed it out on this translucent paper. And then I ran it through my little crayon, is it? The little thing that turns it into sticky. Okay, there's the washi tape that I will be using. Now in the DigiKit, it does explain to print these out on paper, this one on cardstock, and this one on translucent. So those directions are in there. I also will be using just some lined paper. This is from an old notebook I got at Goodwill. I'm going to use this one because I think it goes so well. I just happened to dye this one the other day. I pulled a purple cabbage out of my garden and I dyed with that. Someone had shown that on YouTube and I thought it was so pretty. So that is perfect. I'm excited about that. I've thrown in just a cardstock, some old paper that I got at the store, Goodwill, I believe. This is just newsprint from a notebook. If you have old music paper from an old book, or not, it doesn't even need to be old, but if you have that, throw that in there. And then about 4 to 6 pieces of tea-dyed paper. And then I use this one, which is a page from an old scrapbook, and you can see that it's really crispy, but it does give it another dimension, which is kind of fun. And then we also used some paper from an old piano roll. So that's kind of fun. Now, the tools I'll be using are pretty much standard. I'm going to use this, I don't know what you call it, but it's a ruler that has a funky shape on the edges, and I use that quite a lot to tear my papers. I also use this quilting ruler. That one's kind of grungy. I will use my bone folder and my scissors. And I'm going to be using old paper distress ink and very little of the vintage photo and a brush. And I will be using a stamp with words. This one looks like it's French maybe, but doesn't have to be this big. You can use any stamp, but I will be using that. And I will be using these two glues, Fabri-Tac and stick glue. This one happens to be the school glue, you know, that comes out purple for little kids, but I like it because I can see where I've glued and where I haven't. So I'll be using those. And that about sums that up. So let's clear my desk and we'll get started on our pages. For this first page, I'm going to be using this printout, and I'm going to just tear it with my ruler so it doesn't have neat, tidy pages, tidy edges. I like it like this. And I'm not the perfect, I don't work, you know, I'm not the type that has to have everything perfect. I like the look that is not. As you can see, these are not perfectly even. And I like that look. So bear with me. You may or may not like that look. If you're the neater kind of worker, you just go right for it. But I like mine to look kind of old and like it's been around a while. So I'm going to use, on the back of this, I'm going to use this lined paper sheet. And I'm just going to put some glue on the back of this one, my trusty purple glue. And just line it up. And here again, I'm not perfect. I don't do it perfectly. So, and I use my bone folder to go ahead and spread this down, push it down, and it makes it stick really nice and evenly, which I love. So, and it's kind of important as you go through your journal that everything's sticking. Okay, there's that. So now I will go ahead and rip it again. And of course I'll save this in our little pile over here. Let's see if I can do this. I like that. Okay, now, at this point I will go ahead and fold it in half because this is our center page. And I'm going to go ahead and ink this. With the old paper ink. Now, I didn't use dark inks. Usually in my journals I use the walnut stain because I like a real dark distressed look. But in this one I kept it softer. I want to, I kept this journal kind of lacy and romantic, and I didn't want to go really dark and distressed. So I'm just using this old paper. And it's just enough to give it a shadow. Looks like somebody has handled the pages through the years, but it wasn't deeply distressed. Okay. So you can see that. It just looks like it's had dirty hands on it through the years. Which in our house, nothing unusual about that. So, and I just run some down the middle just so you kind of get a little shadow there. Now, so there's that page, and oh, actually, you know, it opens like this. There's your center page. Now, I am going to go ahead and use some of our velvet ribbon to put a little tab right here. This journal only has one signature, and it's just stacked and stacked and stacked with papers. So it's, the papers kind of fall out of the center. Like you'll see how they fall. Just holding the book in your hand, you can see all the layers. So that's kind of the look I'm into at the moment. So that's what I did. Now I'm going to use this Fabri-Tac to put the fabric on the paper. Just a little glue there. You don't need much. Just hold that for a couple of minutes and it should stick, and then this page is done and we can move on to the second page from the center. Okay, we'll set him aside. All right. The next one, I'm just going to go ahead and use that piece of paper that was at the bottom of that I used, that was left over from the previous page. The journal itself is 4 inches wide and 6 inches high. So I have used everything, you know, I've even gone beyond that 6-inch point a little bit and even wider than the 4, just to give it a little feel of different layers everywhere. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and glue some papers on this so that we have a little bit of something going on. And I'm going to use this sheet, the ledger sheet from the kit, from the DigiKit. So where's my trusty ruler? I do a lot of tearing instead of cutting in my journaling process. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that edge off, and then I'm going to just tear me a little section like that. And let's cut this part. And I'm just going to glue it right up here on the edge of this. So back again to our glue. Our purple glue. press it down with your bone folder. And you can collage more and more on that if you want. I think I'll leave it just like that. On the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. And I think I will use this little Bible page. And you can go through and tear these or cut these pieces out in your DigiKit before you even start if you'd like. I just don't like to use the scissors because it makes it look so perfect. And I don't like perfect. All right, we're just going to do the same thing right there. Push it down. Now on this side, I'm going to, let's fold it in half so we know where our half point is. On this side, I'm going to go ahead and put I'm going to put a lace pocket here. So we're going to have a little piece of lace. I want something that kind of hangs down. And I want something across the top that's kind of cool. And maybe this little journal or little diary entry. Let's do this. Just kind of evening this one up. So I will look through my lace and see what we have for this. I like that right there. Okay, so on this one, I'm just going to go ahead and glue here, here, and here with the fabric tack. Just starting there. And then I'm just going to glue that down. And this will make a pocket, and we'll put a tag in it at the end. So I kind of messed up there. And you'll see how this hangs down, and it looks so pretty in the book when you've got stuff hanging out the bottom, the sides, the top. Okay, so there's a little pocket. And we may even take this to the sewing machine later and sew around that just to give it a little bit of, stability. So there's that. What I'm going to do is go ahead and distress this with our ink. You can distress the lace too if you'd like. If you got any of that purple glue, the stick glue anywhere on here, it'll kind of pick up the glue or the ink and make it look kind of old, give it kind of a funky look, which is kind of fun. I didn't get any extra here, but that's unusual. Ooh, let's just do some right there. You'll see what I mean. See, it looks dirtier right there. It's kind of fun. And I don't worry about any torn pages or anything like that, because if you're like me, you want it to look old. It's been around a while. Okay, I think he's ready. So here we have our two, center and our next page. And you see how different in height they are. They're about the same in width, but different in height. So I would center those on each other when we get ready to put them together, and then you have kind of a little thing going on. So I like those. Okay, moving on. I'm just going to start with one of our pages that is, I'll find it here. I'm going to start with this page that is from an old French book. And I just scanned it for you. It's very old. So let's move these out of the way. Let's get our trusty funky ruler. And let's just turn this into a page. I've got the one I've been looking at lately, or you know, my model here that I have to keep referring to. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this again, and just get the edges so they're not perfect. You can use that other edge of the ruler too. It's just pretty radical to me. Let's use it and see what it looks like. It's pretty radical, and it looks to me like you did what you just did. It doesn't look a natural tear to me. It is kind of cool though. And then I've seen people, I think there was a video on YouTube about just buying an old ruler, an old plastic ruler, and taking your nippers and, you know, like pliers, and just kind of chipping it away here and there. I've always been going to do that and just kind of make my own so nobody has that same look, but I haven't done it yet. It'd probably be pretty easy peasy. Now I don't like that, so I would just tear that off. And this piece of paper comes out to about 9 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in this way, about 1.5 inches or so. And I'm going to make a little flap there. And I'm going to hit it with my bone folder. Okay, so let's do on this side, let's use some of the music paper that I put in the DigiKit. This music paper, by the way, is a scan of a book that I got in an old used bookstore in Prague, Czech Republic. And if I would have had the money or the suitcase room, I would have bought so many things there. It was really a cool store. And I wasn't even into journaling then, but wow, I'd love to go back. Chances are I never will. The COVID thing kind of took care of that for a while. But anyway, it has some really pretty pages in it, and it's very, very old. Okay, so let's just rip some pieces off of this. And, oh, let's fold this. Let's fold it and leave it about like that. Now let's make this one 4 inches and the other one smaller. So let's do this. Just like that. So I've got one 4-inch side and one smaller, whatever. Okay, on this side, I'm going to do some collaging, and I'm going to go ahead and use some of my Greg shorthand stuff. I learned Greg shorthand a long time ago, and I still remember some of it, but to be real honest, I was never really very good. But it was interesting. It's like a whole nother language or something. So I'm just going to tear off a little bit of this one. That was weird. It went bumpy. Okay. And I just take this and tear it off. You can even tear that off, or you can leave it, but I'm tearing it. Okay, so let's use one of these. And another little piece of the styrene. Let's go this way. It's a hot, hot day today. This part of Montana can get pretty hot. Not as hot as Billings, for instance, but it's been, you know, high 80s, low 90s here for a while. Which, you know, mid 70s is perfect for me. Mid 70s is perfect for me, so that's pretty hot. And then let's just tear this off. And I think we have some pretty little trim to use there. But before we do that, let's put the lid on the glue. Let's go ahead and distress. This is such a fun hobby for me. I really love it. I don't know who even started it, but I have an awful lot of fun doing this. It's very creative, I think. You're just working on one journal and thinking about your next one, you know? And that's always fun. I'm always excited, which I have to be careful because my personality is to go right on to the next one without finishing this one. And that's not a good habit. On this one, I wouldn't even bother distressing it much, maybe just these little white pieces because it's already distressed. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac. Fabri-Tac, not fabric tack. It's kind of like that Mod Podge. It's Mod Podge, not Modge Podge. When I first saw that lady say it's not Modge Podge, I'm thinking, oh, have I been saying Modge Podge forever? Oh, anyway, I don't say Modge Podge anymore. Okay, let's use our little fun thing. Here again, I'm going to use this as a little tab that hangs down, so you see it from hanging down from your pages, which I think is cool. This one happens to be long, so I'm going to put it up high. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on this. Isn't that pretty? And it matches that velvet so well. So there's that little tab. That's pretty. Okay, and I think we've got this third page done. We're going to come back after all the pages are done, and we're going to stamp that word stamp on a lot of our just plain pages. So there's that. That's pretty. Okay. Add it to these. Look at that. Pretty. Okay, so moving on. Let's do one more and then we'll take a break. Okay, so on this one, I just went ahead and used the top of this and a piece of tea-dyed paper, just plain old tea-dyed paper, and I ripped that in half. It's 8.5 by 11, so I just ripped it at the 5.5 mark. Right there. And it's 8.5, so it's going to be big width-wise. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut off like maybe 3/4 of an inch. That much. And then I'm going to fold it in half so I know where my middle is. And I'm going to use, on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and use this. So let's do, let's just cut it off here. It's not as wide as that, but we're gonna decoupage some stuff, or is that what you call it? Not decoupage. We're going to put it over to this corner. I started using this book for gluing. I usually have this old icky piece of cardboard I use, but I'm trying this. I've seen people do it and it's kind of handy. Then when that page is all goobery, you just tear it up and go to the next one. Let's put something down here, down this side, to hide that. How about some more Greg's shorthand? There's no rules. You do whatever you want to do. You don't have to do what I do. This is just a tutorial to give you an idea of what we did. Okay, let's fold this. We had a fold here. Let's fold it. Now, since we've added more papers. Now on this side, I want to make a little tab, and I want to do it out of this Bible. Okay. And we're going to have to cut it and have it sideways, but that's okay. Let's go here. Save all your little pieces. You might want to use them later. Let's fold this in half. And let's put a little tab there. I'm going to use my fabric tack again. The other stuff would probably be fine, but this is just a little stronger. Now I'm going to emboss with my little Sizzix machine. I'm going to emboss some of this blue paper that I have. It's kind of a heavier piece of paper, and I'm going to emboss that, and I'm going to put it right across here. So I will be back in a few minutes. Here's a little piece of that blue paper that I embossed with a pretty little design, and I'm just gonna glue it across here because I'm gonna put something in it. It's gonna be a little pocket type thing, and I'm gonna put this on with the Fabri-Tac again, just because I think it holds better. And later, we'll see what we're going to put in there. Actually, we could do that now. Okay, let's let that dry, and I'll show you what we put in it. It's that little Shakespeare. This one. We'll get this ripped and distressed, and we'll have that done. Sometimes I use my quilt ruler to tear, and it gives it kind of a different look. We'll try that here. So they don't all look the same. Let's go ahead and distress this guy. He's looking pretty distressed just already, but where I rip the pages, we can always make that a little darker. And because he's on tea-dyed paper, makes it a little easier on the back. Okay, oh, let's do this. Let's fold it. Well, let's do this. And let's distress it on the creases. There's your little invitation to a Shakespeare reading. It's funny how they did Shakespeare's. Okay, so let's put him, her. Let's put this right down there. And there's another page finished. Okay. And this is, of course, for writing and journaling. There's another one. See how they're all different sizes? I love that. Okay, let's take this sheet of ledger paper. And I wanted about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do it 5 inches tall. Now this one is not going to be folded in half, but I'm going to keep 4 inches on this side again. And I'm going to go ahead and fold this in this way. Now on this side, I'm going to use our little fairy card or bird card or whatever you happen to have in your kit. It's an old postcard will do. I'm going to use her wallflower. She's sweet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use it like that, of course. I couldn't do that. I'm going to tear the edges. I think I'll try and leave that little W there. And I'm just going to tear this up. And there again, if you don't want to do that, don't do it. Use it just the way she is. And then I even crinkle it. Make her look older. And then I'm gonna distress her before I put her on. And I'm going to attach her to the page with some of our washi tape, which we haven't used yet. So I don't want her sticking out much beyond the 4. So I'm just gonna, right there is perfect. So let's keep her there and find some washi tape. I think I'll just go ahead and use this one out here. cut me some pieces. I love to make my own washi tape. I don't know if any of you use Photoshop or Photoshop elements, but if you do, you can make your own washi tape and then run it through your little sticky maker crayon thing. And you make stuff that nobody else has, which is kind of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna get me a couple pieces here. I don't want that. And I think I'm going to double that up just because that's kind of skinny tape right there. And then let's do one on the back. The leftover. Cut off that little piece. Okay, this one is ready for distressing. And this looks distressed already. Wouldn't hurt to do the edges, but I always try and do here because give it a little shadow. Okay, that one's done. Wow, we're rolling. Okay. Looking good so far. Okay, now we're coming to the map of the Louvre. I mean, de Louvre. Du Louvre, excuse me. Huh, kind of cool. This is from an old book about Paris. Paris. I've never been to Paris, always wanted to go to Paris. But I've been told that you'll be disappointed because it is so dirty. But like I said before, who knows if anything will turn around in my lifetime, if anybody will want to travel internationally. I'm going to fold this one in half right where there's a crease that was on the print, so I'm just going to use that. And I'm just going to put some music there and some old papers. I'll use some of this music. I just crystal to it across, evenly across. Ooh, that tears like butter. Must be old. I love that. And I only want this, let's glue it on and then tear it off. That always gives it a good effect. So let's put some glue on this. Like I say, do anything you want to do. Just don't show me up. I did one tutorial and the person did it and then sent me what she had done, and it was so gorgeous it put me to shame. She's very creative. This is Georgianne. Okay, now on this one I'm going to use a little floral thing that I made and put a little tab there. This guy. So I'm going to cut him down from this, so I'm going to bring it in about a 1/4 of an inch there, and a 1/4 of an inch, I better do it this way, duh, 1/4 of an inch this way. And then I'm going to glue this little piece, just to give it some stability. I'm going to glue it to my piece of white cardstock, or any color cardstock you want. You know what might be kind of pretty is if I glue it to that blue. Oh, let's do this. Let's glue it to this. Yeah. Woohoo! And I'm going to glue it out here so I can tear it again and it gives it a little edge. So let's do that. And I'm going to tear that again, just because I want it to look a certain way. I'm giving it just a little edging there, and I'm going to distress it. And I don't care if it's even all the way around. So in editing my video last night, my tutorial, I noticed that the camera cut off just when I was making this. So I wanted to show you that I went ahead and glued this on, and then that goes here. Okay, so that is the end of this section of the tutorial. I will continue on with the rest of the pages in, let's see, we'll call it Pages Part 2 of the Amour Journal. So see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.